Hey, it's March 29th. Hafragbaten. It's about 8:20, and we're going to talk about Game 7 of my top 10 games of 2015. And this is the oldest game on my list. This is Axis and Allies, second edition, I believe, 1986. It is the second game of the Game Master series. In that series, you have Samurai Sword and you have Fortress America. I've never played Samurai Sword. I have Fortress America, and I really think that Axis and Allies is the best of that series. That being said, what is Axis and Allies? Why is it on this list? And how has it stood up over the course of time? So, do you like war games? Axis and Allies is a war game. Do you like game with miniatures that represents different kind of units in battle, such as infantry, tanks, fighters, bombers, anti-aircraft guns, submarines, battleships? Well, Axis and Allies has all of these things. Do you like to roll dice? Yes. Do you like to have large battles where you throw tons of dice and you hang on their pips? Yes, then you'll probably like Axis and Allies. Do you like to be completely involved in a game and feel like you're actually fighting a war? Do you like games that take on a narrative scope and move away through history, and sometimes you reenact historical battles? Yes? Well, then maybe Axis and Allies is for you. Do you like paper money? Well, you can't have everything in a game. Paper money's okay. It's just okay. That being said, the copy that I have has stayed up really, really well over the years, so paper money's done fine. The map is quite large for its day, and still it's quite large. The only downside, I would say, to Axis and Allies is, one, its length, and two, you really need the 5-player count. You know, you can mod out Russia, someone can play them, but Russia is really pivotal in the game, and you need their own power. If America and Britain take on their role, the game just isn't the same. Axis and Allies is hard to find, but they have newer versions. I have not played the newer versions, which you can find quite easily for quite a good price. So, this is kind of the beginning, and you'll see later, of games that have more combat orientated. As I said, the combat resolution system in Axis and Allies is just dice. But wait, there's more. It's not just dice. And this is one of the things that I love about Axis and Allies. When you buy an infantry unit, it has a certain hit and miss on what they call the battle board. And I'll hopefully post a picture here. And so therefore, when you attack with an infantry, you know they only hit with the 1. But when you defend with an infantry, you know they can defend with the 2. And you really kind of see, oh, infantry, they're just meat shields. All my soldiers out there, sorry. And you start to really feel how these things play out in war. Also, each unit has its own cost. Guys are $3, tanks are $5, etc., all up to battleships are $20. And all of this information is put on a very nice, hard cardboard player aid for each person, for each country. And it has where all your starting people go for your countries. It's very, very exact. It's amazing. Again, a very well thought out game, kind of ahead of its time in that area with a really nice player aid. How is this game set up? Now, this game kind of went away from me for a while. I didn't play it probably for over a decade, but last year I was able to get, I think, 3 plays in, which is amazing since it's such a long game. Also, I have huge nostalgia for this game because, to my memory, this was like the first game I ever really played. Yeah, I'm sure I played Sorry. I can remember playing that as a little kid. But I was either 5 or 6 years old, probably 6, when my brother, at that time 11, got Axis and Allies, and we played it as a family, and it just blew me away. You can make back alley deals, you can talk with your allies in another room and say, hey, you attack here, I'll do this, and you coordinate, and it is just amazing. It is like another game much higher on my list, a much newer game, might I add. So that idea of cooperation and working as a team is really, really pivotal in Axis and Allies, especially if you are the Russians and you are the British. You can really work together to stop the German assault. That being said, playing Germany is insanely hard and really makes you think, wow, this is a really tough war. Wow, this is not an easy thing. Even though you start off with a lot of tanks, you have a lot of ground to cover, you have a lot of ground to hold. And it is just, a good German player is amazing to watch because they're manipulating, they're talking crap across the table, they're making threats. The game just pulls me in. Just thinking about it, I can think of so many times I'm a Japanese player playing Japan or playing America and just saying, yeah, do you want Pearl Harbor happen now or later? What do you want, America? Huh? Just getting into that kind of fever of a game is so rare. You get into your roles. Now, yes, there are, it skips over all the horrible things that happened during World War II. There are no gulags. There are no concentration camps. There is no atomic bomb. And we're going to get into the special weapons and stuff a little later. It just skims over that. It's just a war game, which to me is what a lot of people like to play sometime or another. Now, the game is going to be long. With that suck-in factor, with that narrative factor, the game is going to be minimum 3 hours. I've heard crazy stories about 12-hour games and so on and so forth, and I totally believe it. This game can be AP prone to the max. You can sit there and stare at the board. What am I going to do? The best way I've seen is I give everybody a sheet, a notebook, a yellow legal pad at the beginning of the game with a pen and pencil, and I say, here. People love it. They write down what they want to do, strategize. They can show people their pad, circle things, and again, it just builds into what are they doing. It's kind of like there's that telegraph, and they're sending messages, and you know your opponent's sending messages, but you don't know what it is, and it just builds. So, again, I'm enamored with the game, obviously. It's one of the first games I ever really got into, and I played a lot of it in 2010, 2011, with some FGCU guys down in Florida. You guys are all awesome. What's up, Corey? What's up, Chris? Anyway, getting back to it. Okay, so you have technology, and this is something that I've not played a lot with because the game is so rich in and of itself. But you can buy technology, and some people that play America say this is the only way to play because you're so far behind in ground, but you have so much money because you're very isolated. You're America, and they will just go ahead and you can buy a die. You buy a die is $5, I believe, and then you have to roll a 6. And if you roll a 6, you have a discovery, and then you roll again, and whenever you roll, then you get that technology 1 through 6, whatever it is, super subs, long-range bombers, etc. and so forth. If I got that wrong, I apologize. This also brings tension. Tension in this game is everything. From the moment that you pull it out, and everyone starts to look at each other going, are you going to be Germany? Are you going to be Japan? Are you going to be America? Yeah, let them be America. They're new. They can sit out for a while and watch us play. And that's a really, really winning feature to this game. If you have somebody new and wants to play Axis and Allies, and they know the time commitment, please, always say that. You can say, sure, be America. You can kind of puddle around for a few moves, which take like 2 hours, and figure out, see how battle is done, and you have time. It's a really great intro to letting them play Axis and Allies. And this is a game, if I get it out once or twice a year, I'm a happy camper. That being said, the game is not going to get a lot of replay. But if you can get some guys together, or girls, that like the game, it will come out. And it will pay for itself in fun. It totally will. The rulebook is super easy, very straightforward. It has been amended enough times that it's pretty much perfect. At the same time, there are things that even though I've played this game tons of times, the last time I played, I found something out new that you can move your guys across the Suez Canal. And the guy was like, no big deal. Sometimes people play that rule, sometimes they don't. And as soon as you tell someone that you play Axis and Allies, and they look at you and they're like, all right, I know what kind of dude you are. And it's this unspoken, amazing connection with people. I had this with a student at PIOP, and I said, hey, I run a game group, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, well, what kind of games? And he said, do you play? And I said, well, one of my favorite games is Axis and Allies. I like this and that, the other. He was like, Axis and Allies, eh? Oh yeah, we should set aside a day and get together. And we did, and it was amazing. That being said, the time commitment is a bit of a bear, and the learning curve can be a little hard. Other good things about the game is very, very clear how much things are worth on your board, men, airplanes and stuff, and how much land is valued. Right there on the map for each country, it says how much it's worth. $2, $3, whatever. And you can see it, and you go, okay. And you can do all your math in your head and say, all right, boom, I'm ready to go. I know I want to take over these 4 places, and I'm trying to get this. Another addition, which is something that I don't see a lot in war games, is the idea of the industrial complex. And it just kind of says it there, and it has a small little white miniature of a factory. And industrial complexes are an amazing, it's like a base. And they're quite expensive, but if you can get them out on the board early, you can start to produce units from that new place, that new industrial complex. Earlier, you can only create men, airplanes, etc., from industrial complexes. So wherever your guy is, maybe your guy's in India, maybe your guy's in South America, maybe your guy's in China, you can just throw down a new base and start pumping out guys and completely change the dynamics of the game like that. And it's sort of like, oh man, I was on a roll, but now the Americans have industrial complex in China. They have all this money, and they're just going to crank out 2 tanks every turn, or tank an airplane. I have to worry about that. I can't do my rush on Russia. Okay, the game changes, and this is amazing. This game will have you on your feet. This game will have you smack talking people. This game will create friends. And this game, eventually, if you play it long enough, will have you flip the table. That is Axis and Allies, my number 7. Have a good night.